Jing Yuan is finally here, and in this video I am going to showcase him with best teams and Lightcones at Eidolon 0, as well as provide you a guide on how to build Jing Yuan. So, Jing Yuan is pretty strong with all things considered, but there are some things you need to know about him. Now, before I explain how he works, my Jing Yuan is level 70 and Eidolon 0, and to showcase his free-to-play potential, I will be using the Seriousness of Breakfast Lightcone, which is fully superimposed, and you can get all the copies from the Forgotten Hall shop. But later in the video, I will compare the damage difference between this Lightcone and his signature before dawn. Also, his traces are raised to level 5 for basic attack and level 7 skill and ultimate. Finally, he is equipped with Band of Sizzling Thunder Relic 4 set with these stats, and his Planar Ornament set is Inert Salsodo. Now, just like every other character, his damage multiplier for the basic attack is exactly the same. It deals low damage, generates 20 energy, and its only use is to create skill points. But in this case, you probably won't use it much since you want to activate his skill every turn. Speaking of which, his skill deals low damage to all enemies, generates 30 energy, and increases the Lightning Lord's hits per action by 2. Honestly, the skill is a bit disappointing when using against single targets like bosses, since the damage doesn't do that much, but the importance of this skill is to build Lightning Lord stacks. Now, moving on to ultimate, it's got a pretty hefty cost of 130, and just like the skill, it doesn't deal that much damage. However, it does hit all enemies, increases the Lightning Lord stacks by 3, and inflicts strong break damage, which I'll talk about in a moment. So, with all of that being said, even if he deals AoE damage quite well, Jing Yuan by himself would be absolutely mediocre at best. But thanks to the Lightning Lord, he actually becomes quite a beast. So, how does the Lightning Lord work? Well, Jing Yuan summons him at the start of combat, and as you can see on the turn track, the Lord gets to act on his own. He will always have base 60 speed and 3 hit counts, meaning he will deal damage 3 times. Now, when he attacks, he picks targets at random, and for each hit, he will deal damage to one enemy, inflicting half a break unit, and the damage also hits adjacent enemies, but their weakness bar will not be reduced. Now, with just 3 hit counts, it's not too impressive. However, you can increase the hit count by 2 when using Jing Yuan's skill, and by 3 when activating the ultimate. On average, you can expect the Lightning Lord to have about 5 hit counts, but quite often it will be 8 or 10, which is the max amount. Now, what is also cool is that with each hit count, Lightning Lord's speed increases by 10, so if the base value is 60 at 3 hit counts, at 8 it will be 120, and this allows him to act sooner. But here's the tricky part. You always want to make sure Jing Yuan is using his ultimate before Lightning Lord, so that he can give those extra 3 stacks and boost the damage. Same goes for buffers like Bronya. If using her skill, you want to build her with lower speed than Jing Yuan, so that he can, for example, use his skill, then Bronya advances his action forward, he uses the skill again, and then if you have the energy, he also activates the ultimate. This way, you can easily achieve the 10 hit count stacks. And you want to do this because, as I said, Jing Yuan by himself deals mediocre damage, but thanks to the Lightning Lord, he suddenly becomes an insane damage dealer, especially if you have one target, because all 10 of those hit counts will just smash the enemy away. Finally, Jing Yuan's technique will allow him to increase Lightning Lord's hit count by 3 at the start of battle, so it's a nice way to start off the fight. However, keep in mind that after Lightning Lord's turn is over, his hit counts reset back to the base value of 3 and 60 speed. Now, one more thing I want to quickly mention is that Jing Yuan has insane potential for breaking enemy weaknesses. While the basic attack inflicts 1 break unit, the skill will also break 1 unit but on all enemies, and ultimate will reduce by 2 on all enemies, which is amazing. And as you saw earlier, Lightning Lord's each main hit on one enemy reduces half a break unit. And if you're not sure what is considered a break unit, basically most normal enemies have 1 or 2 break units, so you can inflict weakness break with just the skill or ultimate, while the bosses have around 10, so it doesn't take that long before the boss is broken. For example, assuming Lightning Lord has 10 hits, if using Jing's skill and ultimate, he will inflict in total 8 break units, which is pretty crazy. All in all, when it comes to his kit, it's pretty strong to say the least, although you do have to understand that the majority of damage comes from the Lightning Lord. Also, keep in mind if Jing Yuan is defeated or he becomes crowd controlled, the Lord will disappear, so make sure to keep this general well and healthy. So, let's start this damage showcase first with a fully superimposed Seriousness of Breakfast Lightcone. His skill will deal 3,407 damage to one enemy, while the ultimate will unleash 7,700 damage or so. This damage, of course, accounts for the Band of Sizzling Thunder 4-set bonus, but you can also get up to 3 attack stacks from the Lightcone for a total of 24%, which gives a big boost to damage. However, you can only gain these stacks by defeating an enemy, so it becomes fully powered up after 3 enemies are taken out by Jing Yuan or his Lightning Lord. And so, with all 3 stacks, his his skill hits for 3,734 and ultimate goes for about 8,493, which results in roughly 10% damage increase. Now, these damage numbers I'm showing you assumes that the Lightning Lord has 8 hit counts, hits 3 enemies, and the splash damage hits at least 6 times, which is the smaller number you see from each main attack coming from the Lord. If we compare his single target output to 3 targets, it's about 70% weaker, which is normal since he is an erudition character and specializes in AoE, but even then, his single target damage coming from Lightning Lord is pretty good. Overall, with a free-to-play Lightcone, I personally think his damage is quite good. It's obviously not going to be as strong as Zila's, Yanqing's, or Danheng's since they specialize in killing bosses. However, Jing Yuan gains quite a massive boost in damage when using his signature Lightcone, to the point I almost think it's unfair. Basically, if we look at these damage numbers side by side, and considering the previous assumptions I made, against 3 targets, before dawn Lightcone deals roughly 20% more damage, and in single target, it becomes slightly better at 23%. Now, this is compared to Seriousness of Breakfast with all stacks active, but because building up the stacks can take a while since Jing Yuan specifically needs to take out targets, before dawn becomes even better compared to it with no stacks, reaching upwards to 31% against 3 targets and 35% against single target. This is a staggering improvement in damage, and honestly, as someone who's coming from Genshin, I'm actually surprised how unfair this 5-star weapon is. But regardless, I think with all things considered, the free-to-play Lightcone still packs a strong punch, although keep in mind these numbers I've shown you did not include damage buffs from Tingyun or Bronya, so expect the damage difference to be even bigger. Still, if we stop comparing the two Lightcones and just focus on the free-to-play option, it actually deals really good damage with buffing, as you can see here. So overall, the personal damage that's coming from Jing Yuan is kinda amazing, especially in AoE scenarios. Now, for a quick guide on how to use Jing Yuan, his best in slot relic set will be Band of Sizzling Thunder 4 set, but considering we're still pretty early in the game, a 2-set combination of this and the Musketeer set is a nice alternative, or you can even go with a full Musketeer set instead. For the stats, focus on getting speed boots, which are really important for him because he has really low speed and he needs it to help him activate more often, especially considering this helps him build more stacks for the Lightning Lord. However, it is viable to just skip the speed boots and go for attack instead, since that boosts Lightning Lord's damage. And as for the body, either critical rate or damage is the way to go, but if you don't have it, attack percent works fine. Moving over to planar ornaments, there's Inert Salsodo to further boost his critical rate, although keep in mind he does get 22% of it from the traces once you get him to the final ascension. Another great set would be the Space Sealing Station for extra attack, and it's located in World 3, which has 2 great sets in there. And for the main stats, definitely go with lightning damage on the sphere, and as for the rope, attack percent is really good here, although energy regeneration is also a strong option if you want to quickly build up the ultimate and gain those 3 stacks for Lightning Lord. You could go with break effect as well, but it's the lowest priority out of all these options. Now, as you saw in the showcase, I was using the Seriousness of Breakfast, but it's a free-to-play option, and there are better Lightcones out there. Like, Today is a Peaceful Day, which you can get from the Battle Pass, and even at first superimposition, it already beats the free-to-play option. For 5-star options, hands down his signature Before Dawn is absolutely amazing. You saw how much of a big damage bump it gives, but you could also go for the Night on the Milky Way, which is sort of free to play, since you could obtain it from the Starlight shop. However, I would say if you want to obtain more summons from this shop, then one of the 4-star options are good enough. Finally, if you want to build a strong team, right now the current meta with the lack of resources is to focus on one hyper carry and create a team around them. So Jing Yuan would need a healer and a tank as well as a damage booster like Tingyun or Bronya. You could also go for a team with Tingyun and Bronya together as well as a healer, but I can assure you, you won't survive in Memory of Chaos without a tank, especially on the later stages. But outside of challenging content, Jing Yuan works great with debuffers as well as another AoE or single target damage dealer, and it's very likely this will become more prominent as we get closer to endgame gearing. So what do I think about this general? Well, it's pretty clear he is the best AoE damage dealer in the game right now, and thanks to the Lightning Lord, he can also dish out some insane single target damage. However, the competition right now is pretty serious. Zila and Yanqing are absolutely dominating the Memory of Chaos, and unfortunately, there's still one big problem that we have in this game. If you don't own Bailu, then you will not be able to clear Memory of Chaos. You desperately need 2 healers to beat all 10 stages, and if you care about this, then I would suggest save up the Jade waits for when Luocha comes, since he is a healer. Or, you know, you can try your luck with Jing Yuan and hope you get Bailu when you lose your 50-50, but that's too unpredictable, especially for free to play. Still, his banner is really good. Tingyun, March 7th, and even Sushang are all great characters, but obviously, Tingyun is insane with Jing Yuan, and she's overall the best 4-star in the game right now. So if you do want to try your luck, maybe pull for Tingyun, but since the 4-star rates are basically the same as in Genshin, I highly suggest to pull on featured banners only when you want the 5-star. But overall, I really like him. I expect he will become even better once I reach his final ascension, since I wasn't able to activate his final major trace, and that one is pretty huge. It's also funny since Lord's attacks are considered follow-up, elation buffs in Simulated Universe turn him into an insane damage dealer. I just wish you could control the Lightning Lord, because the randomness can sometimes be annoying, since he could choose an enemy that has high health and low priority, and you want to take out someone who's low health and high priority. But then again, this is a gacha game, so I guess randomness comes naturally. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, be sure to press the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.